Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is January 20th, 2026, and Barcelona are meeting with PSG in order to negotiate the transfer of Dro, despite him having a release clause. I'm going to tell you all about that. Also, Barcelona are on the verge of losing yet another academy midfielder. And finally, it's been revealed that Deco met with Julian Alvarez's representatives. I'm going to tell you what that meeting was all about. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, the Champions is officially back as Barcelona is set to face off against Slavia Praha. And in fact, the team is already in Prague. They're already in the Czech Republic. They flew today, looking all spiffy, looking all fresh in no suits. And not only did the team travel to Prague, but in fact, they also trained at Slavia Praha's Stadium Fortuna Arena ahead of tomorrow's Champions League clash. Now, if you're wondering which players have traveled to Prague for tomorrow's match, don't worry, because here we have the official squad list released by FC Barcelona. And as you can see in goal, we have Joan Garcia, Wojciech Szczesny, and Diego Cochin. In defense, we have Alejandro Valde, Ronald Araujo, Pau Cubarsí, Gerard Martin, Jules Koundé, Eric Garcia, and Jofre Torrents joining the team again. In the midfield, we have Pedri, Fermín López, Marc Casado, Dani Olmo, Frankie de Jong, Marc Bernal, and Tommy also joining from the academy. And finally, in the attack, we have Robert Lewandowski, Coutinho, Marcus Rashford, Rooney Bardghji, Juan Hernandez, and Dani Rodriguez. Two players from the academy joining the attack in tomorrow's Champions League match. Now, of course, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, two players that haven't traveled to the Champions League is one, Lamine Yamal, because he will be serving a suspension tomorrow, so he's not available to play. And the other one, of course, being Ferran Torres, who has been injured, as I reported in yesterday's video. And in fact, it was confirmed today by the club. But there are two more names missing from that list that are not Lamine or Ferran that you might have noticed. The first one being Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen has not traveled with the team to Prague, and that's because Ter Stegen is on the verge of joining Girona on a 6-month loan until the end of the season. And in fact, Ter Stegen passed his medical exams today. Now, Ter Stegen was supposed to travel to Girona to pass his medical exams, but there was very strong winds and rain, so it was advised that he didn't travel. So he stayed in the city of Barcelona, and he passed his medical exams in the city of Barcelona. Of course, those exams were attended by Girona officials. So Ter Stegen has passed his medical exams, and it's even been revealed that he said goodbye to his teammates before they left to Prague, because again, Ter Stegen is about to join Girona, so we can hear the announcement or see the announcement anytime soon, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Now, it's been revealed that Girona is only going to cover 500,000 euros of Ter Stegen's salary. In other words, Barcelona is going to absorb the majority of it, because Barcelona wanted to facilitate this exit, and in fact, they only put one condition on the loan, and that is the fear clause. In other words, when Girona play against Barcelona, they're not going to be able to field Ter Stegen. If they do, they would have to pay a 300,000 euro fine, and that's almost as much as they're going to pay him in salary, so I doubt they're going to risk that fine. Now, as I always said, I don't believe in fear clauses, because if you're going to send the player on loan so he can get minutes, well, let him get minutes. And also, we are FC Barcelona. We shouldn't fear any player, even if he's our own. But I guess I understand the club's position, because after all, they are paying for over 90% of his salary. Might as well ask not to play against us. Now, the second player missing from today's list, aside from Lamine Yamal, Ferran Torres, and Ter Stegen, is our newest signing, João Cancelo. Cancelo has not been included in the squad list, and that's because he's not registered to play the Champions League. So not only will he miss tomorrow's match against Slavia Praha, he will also miss the match against FC Copenhagen next week. But he should be available to play starting during the knockout stages once he is registered, once that registration date is up for all the players that were signed in the winter transfer markets by clubs participating in the Champions League. Now, on to the next bit of news, because ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are currently in talks with PSG over the transfer of Dro. Now, as you know by now, Dro is set to go to PSG. He already communicated to the club that he does not want to continue at Barcelona, something that has upset Hansi Flick. And in fact, it's being reported that Flick has already excluded Dro from the team. Dro is currently training by himself, completely away from the team, because since he doesn't want to be part of the team, well, he doesn't get to train with the team. But not only that, he's not even being supervised by any coaches or physical trainers or anything like that. So he's literally training by himself. No teammates, no coaches, nothing ahead of his move to PSG. And as it was reported before, it looked like PSG were ready to activate the release clause of Dro worth 6 million euros. But given that Barcelona and PSG are now have improved relationship, it's reported that Barcelona are trying to sit down with PSG to negotiate a higher fee. They want at least 10 million euros for Dro. I'm not sure how that's going to work because Dro has already agreed his move to PSG. And if he has a release clause, all PSG have to do is pay the release clause, which is 6 million. I don't know why they would agree to pay more. But nonetheless, Barcelona are trying. And of course, if they're successful, well, that's 10 million euros or 4 million euros more. That would be very much welcome given our financial situation. Now, speaking of academy midfielders leaving us, it looks like yet another midfielder will be leaving Barcelona, and it's no other than Kim Julián. Now, you might have heard this name before. Kim Julián, 18 years old, midfielder who came up through the academy. Hansi Flick called him up to previous matches. He participated in a preseason. He, I think, got called up for the Joan Gamper Trophy match and played in it, if I'm not mistaken. But since then, he kind of lost his momentum with Flick and went back down to the academy. And now it looks like Kim Julián will be leaving Barcelona this summer. Now, Kim Julián has a contract that expires this summer. Barcelona were trying to renew it, but it looks like Kim Julián has said no. He wants to explore options away from Barcelona. And the reason for that, of course, is because our midfield is both stacked not only on the first team, but also in Barca Athletic. So as a result, Kim Julián does not see a path or clear path to grow and develop. So he has decided to explore other clubs. And it looks like Almeria will be the club that most likely will take Kim Julián away from Barcelona. So another player leaves, but this one not really a big loss. Plus, it's just the nature of the game. The academy produces so much great talent. We can't keep all of it because, of course, you can only have 26 players on the first team. Now, on to that next bit of news, because Barcelona will not be making a move for one of Brazil's most promising talents, a talent that we talked about in a previous video. I think it was on a podcast, but it's no other than Eduardo Conceição. Now, Eduardo Conceição is a 16-year-old attacker. He plays as a left winger, can also play as a right winger, and even as a center forward. He's currently playing at Palmeiras. He really caught the attention of the press and European clubs during the Copinha with his amazing dribbling skills. Your typical jogo bonito Brazilian player who can go 1v1 against defenders, can break lines with his skills and talents, and of course, he can put out some amazing goals. Someone that Barcelona has been tracking for quite some time, but it looks like Barcelona will not be making a move for Eduardo Conceição, and it all has to do with Barcelona's finances. Now, Barcelona have now decided that they're still interested in young upcoming talent, but they want young upcoming talent that still has a low price. Players who are about to blow up. They haven't blown up yet, right? Rudy Bardarji, 2 million euros, very promising player. That's the kind of players that Barcelona are looking to sign as far as young and upcoming players whose prices are still low. As far as big spending, Barcelona only want to spend big on players who are developed, who are going to come and hit the ground running, which makes sense, right? Conceição, being that he's a Palmeiras player, being that half of Europe is interested in him, being that he's one of the most promising talents right now in Brazil, is going to cost a lot of money. And again, Barcelona going to reserve the big spending on players who are already developed, not on promising players. As far as promising players, Barcelona want low-cost, promising players. Let me know what you think about that strategy. I think it makes total sense. I mean, what's the point of spending 60 million on a player that's promising if you don't know how it's going to work out and we don't have money? If we were financially healthy, I'd say, sure, take the gamble. But since we're not, it makes total sense to bring promising players whose price is very low, because if they don't work out, oh well, you're out 2-3 million as opposed to being out 60 million. That makes more sense. Anyways, let's end today's video with the news that it's been revealed that Deco met with Julian Alvarez's agent earlier this month. And that meeting was to see the feasibility of signing Julian Alvarez. In other words, Deco met with Julian Alvarez's agent to see, hey, is Julian interested in leaving this summer? If so, where does he want to go? If so, how much money Atletico Madrid would want? If so, how much Julian Alvarez would want? So this was kind of like a gauging meeting to see What are Barcelona's chances to sign Julian Alvarez? Because, of course, he remains one of the most desired players at Barcelona. Now, whether we can or not, that's, of course, a completely different story. But just know that Deco met with Julian Alvarez's agent to see if this is possible. I still think it's not. There's no way Atletico Madrid going to let Julian Alvarez go for anything less than 150 million. And then we simply don't have the money. And even if we did, I don't think we should be spending that money because we're still not completely out of the financial hole that we're currently in. And the last thing we want to do is go make a spending or go spend that much money on a player, especially on someone that's not really a pure 9. You know, Julian Alvarez is more of a second striker kind of player than a pure 9, which is what Barcelona currently needs. Anyways, that is all for this video. We'll be uploading another video in a few moments, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.